Welcome to Conscious Couples. This is the birth class to prepare couples for labor and birth. This is my beautiful friend Danny, who's 14 weeks pregnant with twins. She's already an amazing mother to 4. You have to go check her out. She's at DannyParksYoga.com. So she is going to be my beautiful muse for today's class. Thankfully, I have some amazing pregnant friends who are yoga teachers. But here's what you'll need for today's class. So it is a couples class, meaning we are both going to get massaged and move through some movements. So it's not just for moms. Partners will be able to have some massage as well. You will need to find couch cushions, pillows from your bed, yoga bolsters if you have some, at least a couple. This is Baxter, if you haven't already seen him. It's very, very busy here. You also grab some blocks, so yoga blocks, cushions, and then you'll need a chair later on. So we'll be moving through some Thai yoga massage techniques for partners. And I want you to be very comfortable while you're administering these techniques to your partner. So also grab a chair. So all the things, have them beside your mats. If you choose to have 2 mats side by side, that works out great. Danny and I are just gonna sit here on this particular carpet and we'll move through this awesome, relaxing class for couples. So welcome back. I'm going to refer to Danny as the mother, laboring mother, and myself as the laboring partner. And the reason I do that, of course, is because I believe that we become the laboring partners when we help our partner and our mother move through this expression of labor and birth. The whole point of these conscious couples classes is to create communication and to build connection between the couples before they move into motherhood and parenthood. So let's start back to back with your partner. And for my laboring partners, if this is a new experience for you, yoga, and you're feeling like your hips are really tight and your knees are a bit bothersome, please choose to sit on a little bit of height. So if you grab like a cushion or a blanket and you place that underneath your sit bones, it'll just allow you to feel more stable and secure in your pelvis. So I'll be offering a lot of modifications for partners and dads just to make sure that they also feel comfortable in this practice. And then as you gently begin to feel the expression of your partner's back towards you, I want you to gently kind of lean into your partner, one of you kind of rocking forward, and then the other partner just kind of gently rocking back. So with your eyes closed, and your lower backs are connected towards one another, so you're really sitting up and against your partner, and then just take this very gentle rocking forward and this very gentle rocking back. And with your eyes closed, I want you to try to not to analyze this movement or this flow. I just want you to feel into it. So as you move your partner perhaps forward with your breath and you draw into your partner's spine as you lean back, what are you noticing about their spine and about their back? And specifically, what are you noticing about this support? And let's come to a position in the middle. So somewhere in the middle where you both find your shoulders stacked over top of your hips, and you're sitting upright, but that the amount of space and weight is even. So we have the tendency to really rely on one another, and although we're here in a supportive manner for our partner, we're trying to still make sure that that is balanced. So do you feel the same kind of level of movement and pressure from your partner? Does it feel balanced? And once it does, just settle into the shoulders. So let's take a nice deep full breath in, lifting towards the chest and the heart with an audible exhale out. So one more as such. Take a deep inhalation to lift, and then nice, slow, long, deep exhalation out. Noticing first the lower part of your spine. So as you exhale, can you allow the lower part of your spine to begin to draw towards your partners, filling up that gap or that space between your partner's back? Another inhalation as you connect into the sit bones to lift the ribs away from the hips. On this next exhalation, can you find some heaviness in the tops of the shoulders, so much so that the tops of the shoulders feel like they're resting on the very tops of the ribs? And then we'll begin to pay acute attention and awareness towards our partner's breathing. So on this next inhalation, can you start from the base of the sacrum and begin to connect your breath with your partner? So it's like we're synchronizing the breath as you inhale, finding that expansion up the front line of the body, and then this nice slow, long, deep exhalation out, letting go of any physical tension, any emotional stress or strain that no longer serves you in this very moment. As partners in the move and the journey towards parenthood, we're also trying to let go of any judgments, any expectations that you might have for yourself, but also for your partner, any limitations and any fears. So we're just settling into this space with our partner, just the 2 or 3 of you, or maybe even 4. So can you draw your inhalation to find that expansion, moving and synchronizing with your partner's breath, and then the slow, long exhalation. Reminding and paying homage to your partner in this moment that this journey is together. After your next elongated exhalation, we'll begin to find some quietness with the breath. So returning your breath back to its natural and normal pace. We'll bring the palms of the hands together so the thumbs connect at the heart space, coming into our Anjali Mudra. Just taking a nice full inhalation and recognition towards your own heart. And then as you exhale, we'll gently bow the head. Good. Keeping the head bowed for just a moment, let the palms of the hands draw back towards the knees so the chin is just ever so slightly falling towards the chest. But use your partner's shoulders to kind of gently press back in towards the shoulder blades of your partner. So a gentle stretch through the front of the chest. We'll take one more big breath in. A nice big exhale out. Bringing your gaze to look forward. So here's our first movement. I like to call it sacrum circles. So what you'll do is grab onto your partner's elbows behind you. So it doesn't matter whose arms are on top first because we will change it. So one of you will be in a bit of an internally rotated position, the other external. And then keeping the lower backs towards one another, you'll start to move in what's called sacrum circles. So this can feel really nice for the laboring mother, especially if you're later in your 3rd trimester. Keeping the sit bones kind of grounded. There's just a little bit of movement through that lower back and the sacrum. And you can create these circles as large or as small as you choose. So leaning forward. And the important thing about couples work when we're helping each other navigate this movement through our physical bodies, you're always listening to one another. So I'm always in tune with what I feel in Danny's back. I can feel some resistance if I know I'm going too far. Good. So please remember which direction you're moving in this moment, and then we'll switch. So if you come back to center, switch the arms. So one of you is going to draw underneath, the other over top, opening up through the shoulders, and then we'll move in the other direction. Is that right? Okay. So we're leaning forward, leaning back. Really try to allow, if you were to close your eyes, the movement from the sacrum. So from the back of the pelvis. Good. You can roll the shoulders back. Kind of keeping that connection towards the shoulder blades, releasing any tension in the lower part of the spine. Awesome. It's a nice little warm up for the back. On this next exhalation, we'll return with the shoulders over top of the hips. Just lower the arms. Everyone will take the left hand to their own right knee and then your right hand back for your partner's knee. So we're opening into a twist. Roll the shoulders back, sit up nice and tall. So take a big breath in, keep the ribs away from the hips. And then as you exhale, we gently begin to rotate kind of from that lower belly, lower back. Moms are going to be really mindful of what this feels like in the front of their abdomen. Big inhalation, sitting up tall. Next exhale, we begin to rotate from that upper chest and back. So you're going to feel this gentle pressure through your partner's shoulders and their shoulder blades to bring your gaze to look over that left shoulder. So big breath in, sitting up tall. Good. Can you feel the connection of your partner's lower part of the spine? So use your partner as a guide to relax into the lower back. One more big breath in on this exhalation. We'll square the shoulders forward. Good. Taking now your right hand to your right knee, left hand back behind you, taking a big inhalation, sitting up tall, and now as you exhale, we gently begin to open up through that left side. So big breath in. Now we have the ribs drawing forward. Please again, making sure, Mom, it's quite a small and subtle stretch, so ensuring that the lower belly and the lower back feel safe. There's no tension or tightness, and then you can bring your gaze to look over the shoulder. Softening through the shoulders, please reconnect with your partner's spine. Taking a nice full breath in to sit up tall, and then big exhale out. Good. Please unwind shoulders over top of the hips. I'd like you to switch the direction of the cross of your shins. So just taking a moment to stretch the legs in front, bring the opposite shin in front. Good. Now you can choose to stay either in this cross-legged position. This is generally easier for laboring partners. Moms might want to consider moving pads of the feet together into a bound angle position, or Baddha Konasana. So completely your choice. A little bit more intense certainly for laboring partners, so please be really mindful. Discover who's sort of taller of the two. I think I might be just a little bit taller maybe than Danny. I don't know. Danny has a better posture and position than me. Maybe it's you. Do you have longer arms? I have long arms. You have long arms. Okay, so you can go first. So the shorter of the two is going to reach back for your partner's hands and thighs. You need to externally rotate your shoulders. You need to roll and open the shoulders. And then the taller of the two is going to bring their arms over top to reach back for the partner's thighs. Yeah. So, rolling the shoulders open. So you want to feel like a chest lift. Keep your chin parallel, your gaze to look in front. We're taking a nice big breath in here. And all we're doing is gently with our hands applying, it's not a little bit of pressure, but just sort of a little resistance there. And then using your exhalation to breathe into the pelvis. You're softening through the glutes, trying to relax the glutes, to allow those external rotators to kick in. Good. Breathing into all the spaces that you feel uncomfortableness or even maybe some tension, resistance, or tightness. Good. Danny's doing a little rocking. It feels pretty good. So we'll take one more big breath in and then nice big exhale out. Good. Slowly draw the shoulders forward, release the hands, bring your knees towards one another, and we'll stretch the legs in front. So it looks like I have to move around Baxter. Next position, we'll draw the legs into a wide-legged stretch. So you're going to take your legs as wide apart as you choose. So it's referred to as a wide-legged position. Taking a look at your thighs, so we're rolling the thighs in, toes are pointing up. Again, laboring partners, if you feel like you kind of lean back and your shoulders roll forward, take some height underneath your seat. So you can use a lip of a blanket or that chip foam block, and it'll allow you to move your pelvis slightly forward. This one's a great one. So we're going to take that interlace of the elbows again. So if you're following Danny, the laboring mother, she's going to lean back as I begin to lean forward. So I'm hinging from the hips. Now in this case, again, laboring partners might have to bend your knees. If it's really hard on your hamstrings or your low back, bend your knees so you can find this flexion from the hips. And then all we're doing here is holding this position, taking a nice big breath in, so can you continue to breathe into the back. And then on the exhalation, especially for the laboring moms, just allowing the weight of your back to soften towards your partners. So it can be a really nice stretch through the front of the chest. Danny's head was resting on my back, but you can also bring your gaze to look towards your chest if it feels too intense. I'm going to exhale, press into the back, and then we're going to switch. Now Danny's going to lean forward, and I'm going to lean all the way back. So if your head doesn't rest comfortably, you can bring your gaze to look towards your heart. Taking an inhalation, lifting through the chest. On the exhalation, we're softening through the shoulders. So this kind of length through our spine. Now she has incredible flexibility, of course, so generally you might be more of in an inclined position. Good. Taking one more big breath in. On the next exhalation, press into one another's spine to help lift. Mom's making sure, of course, that they're hugging onto baby. Let's switch the direction of the opposite arms. So it's going to be a different shoulder stretch. So I'm taking more internal rotation. Danny has her arms on top, finding that more external. And then once again, we hinge forward from the hips. So we're tipping the pelvis forward as you lift. And then on the exhalation, just breathing in towards the lower spine. Good. One more big breath in. So I'm going to press in towards Danny's back to help lift. And then once again, she's going to hinge from the hips. So it is a hip movement. She's tipping the pelvis forward. Now lean back, resting the back of the head, opening up through the chest and the shoulders. So you make this as small or as large as you want. Taking a full breath in. So you're only working, please, within your pain-free range of motion. Really important throughout this whole class is that you're honoring each other's movements and you're listening to your body. So you're only moving within your pain-free range of motion. Good. Oh, that feels so good. We'll take one more big breath in. And then as you exhale, so moms, please hug onto baby in the front of the abdomen to make sure that you're really strong within your core as you lift up. And then we'll release the arms. Good. Bending into the knees, just coming one last time into that cross-legged position. Back, laying the palms of the hands to the knees. We'll just do a nice quick shoulder stretch. Fairly easy. If you're looking forward, I just want you to allow your left ear to tip to the left shoulder. So left ear to left shoulder, and we're drawing down through the right side of the neck. So making sure that your sit bones feel even, you're not leaning into one sit bone versus the other. So you have a big breath in, sitting up tall, keeping those ribs away from the hips and the pelvis, and then on the exhalation, allowing the ear to fall to the shoulder. Good. One more big breath in. Nice big exhale out. Again, without kind of moving or shifting the shoulders, draw the chin parallel and now to its opposite side. So right ear to right shoulder. We're elongating and stretching the left side of the neck, taking a big breath in. On the exhalation, feeling the heaviness through the shoulders, that connection through the sit bones. And of course, breathing in towards your partner's back. So they're still there as that support system, which is a beautiful metaphor as you move through the journey into labor and birth together, is remembering that you both are here to support one another. Certainly, as mothers and laboring mothers start to move through delivery, it's a little more intense. So sometimes analytically we're not there, but we can feel that sense of support. Next exhalation, lifting that chin parallel and bring your gaze to look forward. So we're just going to turn around and face one another, moving through a few other partner stretches. Perfect. Baxter seems to be taking over. Danny's going to move into bound angle pose, Baddha Konasana, and I might get you to just shift a little further back because you're extremely flexible. It's suggested to take some sort of height underneath if you need it, so sitting on a block. You can also have your legs extended out to the side if that's more comfortable, and that's where I'm going to stay. And then Danny's just going to lean forward, and she's just going to gently bow her head. So she's going to move wherever she feels the level of comfort. I want to teach you about the importance of touch, which is really helpful for labor and birth. So with just the tips of your fingers, it's a gentle touch. And you're just going to slide your hands down, always keeping a hand on her back. Fingers, you're starting at the mid-back or maybe towards the upper shoulders, and all you're doing here is sliding down the arms and the backs of the hands and fingers. So touch allows us to feel really safe in this space. And when laboring mothers are moving through the labor and delivery stage, touch is incredibly important. It allows moms to move into their parasympathetic nervous system. So it moves moms away from that stress response. And it's really an easy thing that laboring partners can do. So all we're doing here is sweeping from the nape. How does it feel, Danny? Good? Good. I generally only allow mothers to receive this particular stretch. It's not the most comfortable sometimes for laboring partners, but you know what? Today, we'll give it a go and see how we feel. I feel like we need to embody postures, massage techniques, movements in order to really feel how good they feel. So not only just a class for laboring mothers. So nice, right? So just the tips of the fingers moving all the way down towards the hands, finding this gentle sweeping motion. All right. And then slowly, moms can draw down through the sit bones. It's very sedative. All right, we'll just do one example. For me, I usually have the tendency to not get massaged. So you might want to find laboring partners a cross-legged position instead of Baddha Konasana or bound angle. And then leaning forward, you can just drape your hands on your partner's thighs and then gently bow the head. And then one at a time here, we're just sweeping from kind of that nape or mid part of the spine down towards the shoulders. So our sympathetic nervous system is our system in our body, part of our autonomic nervous system, responsible for fight or flight. So it moves us into that stress response, which releases stress hormones, cortisol, and adrenaline. And what we're trying to do, at least with this gentle touch, is move mums into that parasympathetic nervous system. So into the system responsible for more rest and relaxation. So when moms are laboring, one of the healthiest things you can do to support your partner is just thinking about some massage techniques, which is what we're going to focus on a lot today. Danny is a hardworking mom, teaches a lot of classes, so I'm happy to give her some relaxation today. She's always in service of others, so it's nice to give her a little bit of a break, although she's massaging me right now. How ironic. All right. So in this next exhalation, just slowly press through the sit bones. You can gently round up. Wonderful. You can keep your legs in this position. We're going to move into a wide-legged stretch together. So this really depends on everyone's flexibility. You don't have to match up feet to feet. So if one of you is a bit more flexible than the other, but find this internal rotation. And then you'll go ahead and grab onto your partner's wrists and just kind of pull away from each other. So we're sitting upright, sending the shoulders over top of the hips, has a tendency to give a nice stretch through those adductors, and then internally rotating the feet. So I'm going to go ahead and lean back and gently pull Danny forward, and she's going to just move within her own pain-free range of motion, which is pretty low. Okay. And then Danny is going to lean back, kind of drawing the arms forward. So it becomes a great expression for the tops of the shoulders and for the low back. And please communicate with your partners. If you want a little bit more of a stretch, tell them. If you want a little bit less of a stretch, good. And then once again, we'll hinge forward. So that's the movement here. Just letting your partner breathe it out. So my feet are towards the insides of her ankles so I can create a bit of traction. And again, she's going to communicate her needs to me to make sure that I'm in a specific range. But you can usually feel your partner if there's any tension or tightness because they just stop. There's a point where they won't really necessarily move any further forward. Good. So nice. Awesome. So just moving between these two movements, that anterior pelvic tilt, which is what Danny's moving forward into. Good. Which is the suitable position for birth. And then the posterior position when Danny leans back is a suitable position for labor. And labor just means the baby moving through the pelvis. Birthing is, of course, implying when you birth your baby out. Awesome. So once more. Good. We're good. Pull this time. I'm bending my elbows. So I'm using a lot of my shoulder strength versus my back. Very important for laboring partners. I'll teach you some techniques to always make sure that you're safe when you're assisting your partner through labor and birth techniques. Good, you can pull a little bit more. Yes. Thank you. The twin mother giving me some stretches. Okay, keep your left leg straight, bring your right leg in for a minute. So if you shimmy a little bit closer towards your partner, you want your left foot towards their right knee and their left foot towards your right knee. So what it looks like is kind of like a rectangular position. Since the left legs are straight, you're going to go ahead and grab onto the left forearms of your partner. So your left arm to my left arm. You're going to hug onto or kind of embrace their entire forearm and wrist. Bring the right hand behind your back and just open up through the chest. And I want you to just kind of pull one another a little bit. So you're just kind of creating some retention. Taking a big breath in. So there's a little bit of strength here with our left forearms and shoulders. And then on the exhalation, we begin to twist open to the right. So again, gentle movements through that lower belly, lower back, right? Please, again, mothers, making sure that there's no tension on the front of your abdomen. We're opening up through the upper chest and back as we bring the gaze to look over the right shoulder, okay? Keep that resistance with the left arm, that gentle pulling action with your partner because we'll need it next. Exhale, we'll reach the right arm up and overhead and reaching your right hand towards your left foot. So we have a big breath in. The breath is happening all through the intercostal muscles. So these are our primary respiratory muscles, and we need them in pregnancy to breathe because everything else, like our secondary muscles, they want to take over, but everything's a little bit compact with baby. I'm going to reach my right hand towards Danny's right hand. I'm going to lift her up. And as I lift her arm up, she's going to just feel a nice stretch through the intercostals, so in towards the sides of the ribs. If she feels tightening in the front of her abdomen, she's going to give the babies a nice little embrace and hug to kind of engage those lower abdominal muscles. Good. Next exhalation, we can draw the shoulders back over top of the hips, and then we'll just switch out the legs. As you lean back, you can take your, right foot out, and then the left leg in. Please match up again, ankle to knee, knee to ankle, and then grabbing onto the right forearms. Okay. Reaching the left arm away, so find some traction with your partner with this right arm, rolling the shoulders back, sitting up nice and tall. We have a big breath in, and then on the exhalation, we gently begin to open up to the left. So the right ribs and shoulders forward, left ribs and shoulders back. Again, moms, please check in. Make sure you're staying within that pain-free range of motion, no tension or tightening on the abdomen. A good squeeze to this right arm, and then we'll exhale, reach the left arm up and over. So we're softening through the shoulders. The intention is to try to reach the left fingertips up to the ceiling, but pressing down into this left sit bone. And then I'll go ahead and grab onto Danny's left wrist. I'm just going to give her a little bit of a pull up. And then she's going to breathe into the side body. So we have a really tight abdominal muscle called your quadratus lumborum that wraps towards the lower part of the spine. This is the stretch that we're getting at. So that abdominal muscle is supporting your trunk stability when you're pregnant because the rectus abdominis muscles in the front of the abdomen are just not working as much because they're being stretched. As you exhale, we can draw the shoulders over top of the hips. Sorry, release. Feel like I was gripping onto your arm. Okay, just send the feet away from one another, giving the arms a nice little, or the legs a little shake out. So what's going to happen here is laboring partners are just going to kneel for a moment. So if you need, or you can certainly sit down, and I'm going to get Danny to create a side lay position right beside Baxter. So here's a side lay position, hips are over top. I just want to create this, I want to show you this really awesome pose. In yoga, it's called Anatasana, which is a Vishnu's couch. But I also want to talk about an alternative way to move through labor and birth. Generally, when we lay on the back of the sacrum gets fixed and stuck. So side lay positions are also optimal positions to labor in because you have the ability to actually move your SI joints in your pelvis. So I want to show partners, it's a really great little technique that you can help with mums find some release also in their SI joints. Danny's going to lay here, you're feeling comfortable. If she needs some height, so if you need a pillow underneath your head, please take a pillow. She can also prop herself up on her elbow, taking the hand behind the head if she wants a bit of a tricep stretch. But I want you to locate the head of the femur so you can generally feel it. It's protruding on the side. And mom's knees are stacked on top of one another as well as the ankles and the feet. So everything is stacked on top, shoulders as well. And then laboring partners, please make sure that maybe you're kneeling on a blanket so that your knees are safe. And this is a really great little movement that you can help with mums when they're in the laboring bed, if they're on a side lay position, if they've taken an epidural and they're, laying on their back, switch them over to their sides. But if you find the head of the femur and you gently press down, okay, it's going to give mums a little bit of sort of counter pressure to release some tension in the hips. Now, it either is one of those things where it feels really good or it doesn't. So just check in with your mums. Some mums really like it, especially if they're dealing with SI joint pain, okay? So all you're doing here is checking in. How's that pressure? Does it feel okay? Enough? Not enough? Now, one other thing I just want to show is the position to labor. We will switch Danny in a moment. But if Danny just kind of props herself up on her elbow for a moment, she's looking forward, and if she lifts her top leg up and then grabs a hold of the leg underneath, this is really great because it's an optimal laboring position. We still have the view to allow baby to, be delivered. I was going to say expulsion because that's a word that they use, but I just think it's so bizarre. So what Danny can do is she can roll her thigh in to create internal rotation. And as she does, the leg will lift up. So this is a great position to open up the sit bone in the back of the sacrum to help again with baby as they deliver. And then if she was to do the opposite and open and externally rotate her hip, moving her heel down, this allows the iliac crest to open and creates more space for babies to move through the pelvis. So the side lay position is great because it doesn't fix the sacrum and she can still move between like internal and external rotation, right? Moms are very intuitive when they labor, so we can really actively start to create these movements. Let's have you go to the other side if that's okay. You can press into the palm of the hand very slowly. And then Danny's just going to move on the other side. So nice side lay position. Side lay positions are great. You can still create some massage techniques if you need to. I'm just going to get you to scooch back just a tiny bit. Awesome. So checking out the knees, please make sure like the hips and the knees and the feet are all stacked on top of one another, as are the shoulders. Good. And then I'm going to place my hand, just finding that head of the femur just sort of protrudes a little bit, stacking my hands on top, and I'm just going to apply a little bit of counter pressure. It usually feels pretty good for moms like in the late third trimester or even when you're moving through active labor, so when you're starting to feel contractions. And I'm just going to check in to make sure that that pressure feels enough or not enough. Good. So SI joint pain, you want to lay generally on the side of the SI joint pain, adding just that little compression. Compression sometimes isn't a bad thing as long as it doesn't associate with pain. Good. And then I'm just going to lean off a little bit. I'm going to let Danny pick up her top leg. So placing her hand underneath. and you can prop up on the right arm. This is also a great position if you are to push, because a mom has control of her hips and pelvis versus the partner, adding that force. And then just create a little bit of internal rotation. So you rotate the thigh in, the heel comes up. That's referred to as internal rotation. And then external, the heel kind of draws down. We open up the hip in an external way. Wonderful. Okay, once more, so we have some internal rotation. Try to get this movement from the hip. Shouldn't necessarily feel it from the knee or the foot. And then the opposite direction, we open up the hip. Amazing. Okay, you can release the leg. I'm going to get moms to transition into what's called balasana, which is a wide-legged child's pose. And I'm going to teach some really awesome massage techniques. Now, here's the thing. Danny's still early along at 14 weeks, but if you are a little further in your pregnancy, maybe that third trimester, you can also take something underneath your hips and sit bones. So generally in the third trimester, moms have babies kind of pushing against their organs, doesn't feel the greatest. If you elevate the hips and the pelvis, you might find more comfort. I'm going to move this. You're still okay, hey, without it? All right. So laboring partners, here's what I want you to do. You can either come into a kneeling position. I'm going to stand but hinge forward. So it's up to you to join me in this standing position. We usually want to face towards the sit bones for obvious reasons, so we can use kind of our body weight and not just our arms. I'm going to give her a little bit of counter pressure again by pressing through the lower back and just sending her sit bones towards the heels. I'm going to check in with her, make sure that this pressure feels enough or not enough. Please bend your own knees so that you feel supported in this pose, especially for your back. And then all you'll start to do with your thumbs is just kind of rotate along her spine in one direction. Good. And so you can't really, mess this up. We're just kind of communicating what also feels good and what doesn't feel good. Part of labor and delivery techniques is massaging your partner. She needs to feel your touch. She needs to feel that you're around, that you're supporting her, that you're there. It makes us feel secure when we know that we have our advocate for us throughout this journey together. Another really nice movement is placing one hand on the hip. So I'm placing my right hand on the outer edge of her right hip, my left hand on her shoulder, and I'm gently moving my arms apart or my hands apart. So I'm kind of in a lateral position. Good. Opposite, so left hand to left hip, and then right hand to right shoulder. I'm going to check in, so it's really small and subtle movements. Moms will allow you to know if they want more or less. And then coming back, I like to just kind of palpate the hip a bit. So pressing your hands in towards the lower back, moving their sit bones towards the heels from that left and right side. Good. Awesome. And then when we come to the shoulders, here's where you can either kneel. I'm going to just take a little bit of a squat, and you can start to squeeze the shoulders. So squeezing the shoulders also helps to feel really nice. Sorry, I'm catching your hair there. And in my sort of couples yoga classes, I also like to get laboring partners to move just beside the mom. And maybe in a kneeling or cross-legged position, mom's going to stay as they are with the forehead to the floor. You're feeling okay? Mm-hmm. And then we're going to just take a gentle rocking movement for her. Just going to move her from one side. I like to start with maybe hand on the sacrum, hand just behind the heart in between the shoulder blades. And this is really soothing. So it can feel really nice for the neck and the shoulders, but also again for that nervous system, moving mums into more of that parasympathetic nervous system. Good. And then hand maybe on that mid-back, giving her a nice gentle rock. Feels so lovely. Okay. Wonderful. Now again, this is one of those where we need to feel this pose, how wonderful it is for mums. So mums will slide the hands underneath the shoulders. Good. If you feel like you would like to go into a downward facing dog, please go ahead and do so. You might want to just sort of get off the knees. Bringing the knees closer towards one another, we can lift the hips quite high. And then just sending the sit bones back, walking the hands forward. You can come forward if you need to. Big lazy dog. This is my life with Baxter. Wonderful. And then on the exhalation, let's walk the feet towards the hands or step the feet to the outer edges of the mat. Good. Please bend into the knees, look forward, and then gently rise up. So you're going to ground down through the feet to stand up nice and tall. So as we transition into laboring partners, moving into this pose, you will probably need to make sure that you're really comfortable. So grab a bolster. You might need a blanket. You're going to kneel. Moms can kneel in this one, so you don't necessarily have to draw the sit bones towards the heels. I want you to feel really comfortable. You don't have to be standing up if you don't want to. It's completely up to you. But please make sure you're bending your knees so you're protecting your back. Good. Sliding the arms forward, you can stack the forearms on top, resting the forehead to the stacked forearms. Generally, laboring partners don't last as long as our mothers do. So first technique is just drawing the sit bones towards the heels. Good, adding that little counter pressure. You can pause here. Please communicate. You know, generally it's like laboring partners or dads, it's their knees that are a bit bothersome. So be mindful of that pressure. And then we either begin to kind of walk the hands or using the thumbs, just massaging on either that left and right side of the spine. Good. So again, moms, laboring moms, please, if this feels like it's too intense, know that you can kneel beside your partner. So rotating, you can also gently move towards the shoulders. There's certainly no rush with this whatsoever. And you can then kind of squeeze down through the arms. So lots of nice little techniques. Squeezing is a very easy one. We did a diagonal stretch. So if you want to place like one hand to the back of the hip and then the opposite hand to the shoulder. So Danny has right hand to my right hip and then her left hand's on my shoulder. Good. And she's gently kind of pulling away. Awesome. And then switching. So she'll take her hand to my right hip and then her hand onto my left shoulder. And it's just like you're moving the sit bone and the shoulder away from one another. Good. Generally enough here. So just kind of finishing up the last few moments, giving your partner a gentle, just a little bit of lumbar love, I like to call it. Feels really good on that lower back. So because we're in this flexed position, we have the availability to move into those lower back muscles. Ooh. When you feel complete, please bring your gaze to look forward. We'll slide the hands underneath the shoulders. Laboring moms can just kind of stay as they are because we will be transitioning into some standing poses. I want laboring partners to come forward. We're going to move into a downward facing dog. So walk your hands forward, curl the toes under, and just lift the hips high. And take some movement here. So nice deep bend into one knee, rooting and pressing through its opposite heel. So moving from hip to hip and side to side. Walking your hands forward or your feet toward it. So bending into the knees, pushing down through the floor of the feet, gently rounding up vertebrae by vertebrae. Last thing to roll back are the shoulders. Okay, so we'll do a few partner positions at the wall. So just finding a free wall space. I'm going to have Danny face towards the wall and move in 90 degrees. So she's just going to walk her hands. She's going to place her hands on the wall, walk her hips back, and then gently hinge forward from the hips. So both hands can be on the mat. You're going to straighten your arms. So walk your hands back or feet back a little bit more. Awesome. So we have to be really mindful here, moms, that you're kind of hugging onto your baby so that we're not collapsing too much in the lower back. Now you're going to actively, you want your hands in alignment with your shoulders. You're going to actively push into the wall. Partners are going to come behind. Bring your dominant leg in front. Index finger, middle fingers kind of around those hip pointers. And then grounding down through the feet, you're just going to pull her away. So it's like you're trying to pull her away from the wall, and she's going to resist by pushing into the palms of the hands. So generally, this can stretch either the backs of the legs, like hamstrings, glutes, or it can get into her T-spine. God, where are you feeling that one? In your legs. Awesome. Hugging onto baby so you're really safe and supported in your back. And then a gentle bend into the knees. Mums, look forward towards your hands and just kind of walk your hands up the wall as you crawl out. Good. And then I want you to switch. Okay, just so you know, we're going to switch views so you can see from kind of this angle. So if I bring my arms to the wall, so now we're going to have laboring partners. Bring your hands towards the wall. They're shoulder width apart. Wrist aligned with the shoulders. You might have to take a gentle bend into the knees, and your heels are underneath your hips. Your gaze looks down, so the ears are situated between the arms. And then Danny, with her dominant leg forward, leaning her weight back, is just going to gently press back. And I'm pushing into my hands to resist her. If your toes lift up, you might have to walk your feet a bit further back. So we're just pausing here, Really great stretch again for the backs of the legs, for that upper thoracic. You might feel a bit taller. It tends to create space between the vertebrae. And then when you're ready, bend your knees, look forward, and just walk your hands up the wall. Good. Next movement here is a birthing squat. So I'm going to have Danny go first. This is actually just kind of for mums in a way. Now, can we show an improper squat where people just like squat down, their knees go over their ankles? Yeah, all the way. So this position is what we don't want, where the knees are too far over the ankles because it'll strain the knees. So what I'm going to get Danny to do, want laboring partners to take that really good stance so their dominant leg is forward. Now you have to lean back as your partner leans back. That's the trick. Danny, who camps a lot with her family, when we go, I always tell this story because everyone relates, but when you're peeing in the bush and you don't want to pee on your feet, she's going to hinge from the hips and really draw her glutes back. And then she's going to lower her sit bones towards her heels. She's going to go as far down as she wants into a squat. I got you, girlfriend. Give me some of your weight. Okay, so she's basically supporting herself in the squat, but I want her to lean into me and trust me. There we go. So it is an act of trust for sure with your partner. So I'm leaning back, she's leaning back. She's going to let her head bow a little bit, and it's such a great stretch for the delts and those lats, the lower spine, the hips, and just letting the weight of the sit bones draw down. So this is an active birthing squat. Moms are going to have a lot more longevity if their knees are over top of the ankles, okay? And then I have to help her lift herself up. So she's going to push really strong into her feet, using the strength of her legs to lift and stand up. Amazing. Now they do have beds at the hospitals that allow moms with a squatting bar, but moms just sometimes really feel like they need you to help them. So that's one aspect. Thank you so much. So next, please grab onto a chair. I want laboring partners to sit down, and moms are going to be seated cross-legged on the mat. And if you need a little bit of height, go ahead and grab some height. So here's, I'm going to teach you some really awesome little Thai yoga massage techniques. I sometimes in class have dads kneeling. It's just, or laboring support partners kneeling, but it's a lot easier to be sitting on a chair. So please make sure that you're comfortable finding a chair with adequate support. What I love about this, if Danny can reach her arms up, she can kind of drape her arms over top of my legs. And in this position, she can let her chin fall towards her chest. So if you're in the hospital room or laboring at home, it's really nice. Again, we're feeling that connection and that support from our partners. And then we can do all sorts of really great things while we feel supported ourselves. So this is a win-win situation. Some of my favorite Thai yoga massage techniques, I'm going to teach them to you now. So the first one, while Danny's in this position, I'm just going to move her hair aside, and she's going to keep her chin as it is. She can keep her arms here if she chooses. So laboring partners, I want you to interlace your fingers together, take your elbows out to the side, and what we'll start to do is squeeze the palms of the hands together using the strength of our shoulders and our elbows. So it looks a little bit like this. We're going to squeeze the palms of the hands together, keeping the fingers interlaced. And I'm going to take the palms of the hands around the nape of her neck, and we start behind the ears and we'll work down towards the shoulders. So as I lean forward, I'm going to gently kind of pull up on the palms of the hands on either side of her neck. Okay? So sort of like that scruff of the neck. And you're just squeezing through the thumbs, using again the strength of your shoulders and your elbows versus your wrists. Okay? We have the tendency to really get a bit exhausted when we're using more of our wrists. So this in Thai yoga massage is referred to as the lemon squeeze. It's pretty easy. Please check in with your partner to make sure that that squeeze feels adequate, like it's not too intense or doesn't create any pain in the back of the neck. It should feel pretty good. How does that feel, Danny? Usually just the redness is implying some oxygenated blood towards some of the tissue in the muscle in the back of the neck. Good. Also helpful for the scalenes in the front, for this SCM, your sternocleidomastoid, the very back, which gets really tight. Awesome. Okay. I'll allow Danny to just draw her chin parallel, bringing her gaze to look forward. The next is the rolling pin. I'm just going to switch her arms so she can rest her arms on her thighs. She is leaning back in towards the chair so she feels supported. She'll draw her left ear to her left shoulder, and I'm going to take my left hand to that shoulder to make sure that her shoulders stay balanced. We'll make a fist with the right arm, and I want you to use more of sort of the meatier part of your forearm. And the knees are quite wide because we'll need to create a little bit of movement with this neck stretch. So this is called the rolling pin. The fist is going to face down, really close towards her neck. I'm adding pressure in my left hand, and then I'm just going to kind of roll away. So what we're trying to do is get more, this is that SCM, but also get onto the ridge of the trapezius. Got temperature. So we're rolling out and back. Good. Towards the neck, and then gently out. Good. Which can feel really good. So I like to even kind of bend my elbow and sort of nudge the elbow in there. How does that feel, my friend?
So good.
So good. Yeah, it's a pretty popular one. You know, mums are generally really tight just because of the breast tissue that's getting heavier. Kindest way to say it. And our shoulders want to draw forward. You know, our posture changes when we're pregnant. Yeah. So just rolling out. You're not on any area of bone, please. So we're staying more between those muscles, and especially the intention here is all about the traps. So the traps, like diamond shape, occiput down towards the ridge and then sort of in between the shoulder blades. Good. All right. No rush. At any point in time, if this is a pose that really speaks to you, you can stay here for a moment longer. As we switch to the other side, I'll allow Danny to draw her right ear to her right shoulder kind of on her own, holding on with my right hand to make sure that the shoulders and hips stay level. Making a fist with the wrist, I kind of lean into my left leg, and then with my left arm, I'm going to roll forward and back. So coming in towards the neck, and then down and out. So the forearm rolls up. Okay. Is that pressure okay?
That's perfect.
Feeling it more through the back of the shoulder and the shoulder blade. One of my favorites. So good. The sternocleidomastoid, which is kind of this really meaty muscle here towards the back and then down towards kind of the clavicle. It also, when we have the tendency to massage it, it has a responsive connection to our vagus nerve. So your vagal nerve response is also a response in your body for relaxation and digestion, relaxation and rest, that relaxation response. The vagus nerve is left and right side, down in towards the trachea, the lungs, and then of course it has all these attachment points to our organs. So it's that gut intuition, that gut feeling. It's really great to stay in that connectedness with the vagal nerve. Oh, lovely. Okay. Just drawing the chin back to center. Please, Danny, just change the direction of the cross of your legs so you don't feel like it's too intense. You can also stretch the legs forward. We have 2 more movements here. Yes. So we have 2 more movements here, just making sure that your hips feel safe. The next one, we're going to add a lateral stretch. So Danny's just going to interlace her fingers behind her head. I have to sneak my pelvis a bit more forward to find length in this right leg. She's going to essentially draw over top of my thigh, okay? So what'll happen here is I'm going to take my hands underneath the backs of her arms. I'm going to draw her over top of my thigh, okay? Leaning over now to this left side, I'm going to hold on to her left arm with my right arm so it's close towards my chest. And then I'm going to reach down and just add a little bit of counter pressure into her hips and pelvis. The counter pressure is completely up to you. And then moms, you're breathing into the side body. So getting that connection once again in towards those intercostal muscles. So big breath in through the side, softening through the shoulders, opening up through the chest and the heart. Good. Big lateral breaths in. How's that for you? Good. Back stretch too. Please help to lift mums up. So as we center our shoulders over the hips, hands underneath those arms again, and we'll draw shoulders over top. You can give it time to rest if you need to relax the arms for a moment, shifting over a little bit further to the left. So you want this left leg straight. so that they can fold over top of the thigh. Really hard with the knee bent. And then palms of the hands behind the head. You okay? Good. And then you're just going to lean her over. It's a little bit harder for me in this position. I can get you a little bit deeper when I'm kneeling. And then we'll open up. So if I hug my left arm around the back of her right arm, and she's going to open up through the chest. So we have a big breath in. So there's just a little bit of pressure through the palms of the hands on towards that right thigh. And then she's drawing in towards the side body. Oh my God, you're so cute. Good. One more big breath in. And then nice big exhale out. So helping with the hands underneath, gently sending shoulders over top. Here's our last one. So let your arms relax. Okay. This one's incredibly important, by the way, for labor and birth because it has to deal with control. So the need for moms and women to control everything is just like a part of what we do, okay? We do it because we love our friends and family. So I'm going to grab onto Danny's right arm. I'm going to take my left arm overhead to hold her wrist. So my elbow stays up, and then my right hand's going to come underneath and hold her elbow. So right now, if I was to let go, whoa, Danny's holding onto her arm. Now she's going to close her eyes. This is a hard one, okay? And I'm just going to wiggle out her arm so that she lets go of the control of her arm. She's going to trust me as her friend to lead her in a very safe and supported space. So I'm leaning into my right leg. And then all we'll start to do here is create like stirring motions with the elbows. Now you can move in one direction, and these circular movements can be as big as small as you choose to make it. Okay? You can also make sure that you're moving in the other direction. So those movements are slow because you're trying to make sure that you're staying within their pain-free range of motion, meaning there's no tension or tightness. Good. If you feel like they're starting to stir their own arm, again, take that wrist and give it a little bit of a shake out. A little bit. It should feel really heavy. When they give you their arm again, create those little gentle movements. So I remind moms in birthing classes that this is the ability to let go of that need to control the labor and birth experience. As a mother of 3 myself, we can both assure you that it is a very uncontrollable journey. You know, the essence is to really tap in to your body, tap into your breath, tap into the energy of your baby or your babies, and allow that to be the expression through labor and birth. Good. So shoulder steering, it's a little bit more of a metaphor to release that need to control. You know, ultimately as human beings, all we really need to do is feel safe. We don't need to necessarily control all the aspects. When we feel safe throughout this journey, then we have the ability to really labor in that space that feels comfortable. So give the arm a good shake, close the eyes. Danny's doing a lot of internal work. So she's like really, it's trust, right? Trusting your partner to move you, to be your advocate as you labor. Awesome, there you go, this arm's easier. And you're creating those circles with the elbows, maybe small movements, maybe larger movements. Please don't forget to move into the opposite direction with the arm. Good. It can feel really nice if you're dealing with a lot of, lack of mobility, which we generally are when we're pregnant. Okay, really slow and steady, please. Awesome. All right. This one's a little bit harder, unfortunately, for moms to receive for dads or laboring partners because of baby. Because the baby's in the way and it pushes onto dads or laboring partners' heads, so it's never comfortable. So this one we're just going to stop for moms today. And then letting the hand just fall back towards the hip and the thigh, sending the shoulders over top of the hips. Good. And I'm just going to give a little bit of a squeeze here. You can give a nice little shoulder movement. Awesome. With the thumbs drawing along again the ridge of the trapezius. Moms can also draw the chin towards the chest so the back of the neck is nice and long. We will move into just a few brief restorative positions. This one also for moms with some reflexology. Okay, don't worry, you will get a little bit of movement to yourself too, but for now, here's what I would like moms to do. You're going to grab onto all your cushions, so your bolsters and your blocks. You need to be really supported. I'm going to demonstrate with Danny how to really support yourself. And then laboring partners are just going to sit at the feet, and we'll create a few little reflexology positions before we move into our final part of the class. So here we are on the mat. I'm going to move Danny into a wide-legged sort of supine bound angle pose is essentially it. So generally moms in the third trimester, it's really nice that you take an incline. So what you'll do is take a couple blocks or just like mound up with some of the cushions or the pillows. Provide some support here for the back. So this decreases the back bend and it'll also kind of decrease the pressure in the chest. And then I'll have Danny, when she feels ready, to see if she can lay over top. So this is one variation. She's still early on. She might want it a little bit lower. How does that feel? Now the hips and pelvis need to be supported. So you have a few options. You can take a block or like a pillow underneath the thigh. I'm going to give Danny, because I have a few extra bolsters, I'm going to give her a bolster underneath her knees so that her pelvis can feel supported. So a lot of the challenge in these movements is making sure that in order for the nervous system to relax, it has to feel safe. So we want all aspects of the mother to be safe in this movement. She can take her arms out a little bit wider. We want to feel the external rotation. Lovely in the third trimester to open up here through the sides of the ribs. And then moms are just going to relax and kind of breathe in towards the front of the abdomen, towards the chest and the heart. The exhalation is all about that surrender. Okay. Now, laboring partners, I want you to move to the feet of your partner. And if you can't necessarily see the feet or myself, I just want you to listen. It's very easy, subtle movements for the feet. I'm going to kneel, but I do want you to find a comfortable seated position of your choice and just kneeling at the feet. So the feet are also really wonderful ways to allow the mom to release into that space when she's in earlier active labor. So first, I just want you to place your hands around her feet, your warm hands around her feet. Again, establish that connection of groundedness, of support, of security, right? So even if a mother has taken an epidural, she may or may not feel the sensation of the feet, hopefully not. But in the case where if you're laboring at home, you can apply these really simple techniques to allow that mom to stay into that safe space. All right, really simple technique here for the feet. So everyone remembers the snake bite when we were little. So you're going to wrap your hands around the feet. Thumbs are underneath the pads and the fingers are on the tops of the feet. And then all you're going to do is move your hands independently. So one of your hands is moving forward, one of your hands is moving back. So it's essentially like when you're kind of, I think, throttling a bike in a way is the only way I can depict that. So all you're doing here is rolling one hand forward, one hand back. Right? How does that feel? It should feel pretty good. In reflexology, it is referred to as the heart squeeze, where we're just kind of applying pressure to the outer edge of the feet. Really nice, subtle movement. Moms are still releasing here, breathing in towards the hips and the pelvis. Good. You can switch to the other foot. So she still have the pads of the feet together. This is an option if moms are just not happy with this hip stretch. You can also get them to straighten the legs and place the pads of the feet on your thighs. So all we're doing again is moving one hand forward, one hand back. 4 fingers are on the top of the foot, thumb is on the bottom. And with your thumb, you're just massaging into the base of the foot. Good. This one isn't necessarily just for moms. We will allow partners to receive this movement. Supported bound angle, this posture here is probably one of the most favorite movements in prenatal sequences for moms, especially in that third trimester, so it can feel really nice. Next, I want you just to grab a hold of their ankles. Okay, we're not applying a lot of pressure with the fingers here. Holding onto the ankles can also feel very supportive. And then if you just kind of, with that sweeping action again, the tips of your fingers, running your fingers down towards the shins and the tops of the feet. Good. Wonderful. So I'm going to move out of the way. I'm going to start to get Danny out of this pose. So moms, I want you to just press into the pads of the feet and just shift the knees towards one another. Laboring partners and dads, you can remove the bolster for her. And she's just going to stay here for a moment. If she pushes into the feet and lifts her pelvis up, she can just readjust the sacrum a little bit and then feel more support. Take a nice big breath in towards the belly. Big exhale out. Moms can let their legs wash to the left side and then over to the right, so a little windshield wiper movement. And then whichever side you have the most room, when you feel ready, you'll roll over either to that left or right side and just pause on the side for a moment. So resting on your side, you'll just stay here for a moment. And then when you feel ready, you'll press into the palm of the hand. So here's what we're going to do for laboring dads and partners. Same setup. Laboring moms are actually going to come behind the dad, and we'll give them a little bit of a shoulder movement, little shoulder stretch. So I'll move this out of the way. So your choice, again, generally this is a new pose, and laboring partners, especially men, have the tendency to be really rigid in their pecs. So you'll probably need this elevated, so it's also less tension on your back. Take that bolster, it's going to be helpful for your pelvis, and then just sitting behind them, because we'll add a little bit of shoulder movement for our partners. So if you're sitting down here, you'll nudge your hips or your back towards the bolster. Okay, I'm just going to set up this cushion underneath my knees now. You have a choice of coming back into that hip stretch that we just did, or you can also lay your legs straight. But the bolster underneath the knees will be helpful for your back. Hold your hands towards the bolster behind you, and then we'll just gently lay over top. So it should feel like the bolster is centered right along your spine, and your shoulders kind of envelope over the left and right side of the bolster, so the chest and heart are lifted. Good. Pausing here, the elbows are out wide, palms of the hands face up, and then you can also gently close the eyes. So just make some subtle adjustments until you feel comfortable and supported. The heaviness should be through the pelvis. There's this opening through the chest. If the shoulder isn't too intense and you're dealing with any shoulder injuries, you can prop up the arm with some suggested blocks. And then either to the left or right side or directly behind you, I'll just get laboring moms to kind of place their hands on the top of their partner's shoulders. So you can either do one arm at a time if you want to sit to the left or the right side of your partner. I want moms to be really safe too. And then you're just going to place their hands on their shoulders. Yeah. And just sort of, again, with your thumbs, kind of walk along the ridge of the back of the shoulder, so into the trapezius. So just giving them a nice, gentle massage and movement. Our partners also work really hard for us. They're our biggest advocate. They're along on this journey, of course. This is a family movement, a family migration and journey. So even though physically our partners aren't moving through this experience with us, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, they're right here, right beside us. Thanks, Danny. You can also move to the opposite side. So we're just kind of with maybe the thumb massaging along the ridge of the trapezius. Giving them a nice gentle reminder, thanking them for taking this class with you, thanking them for being your partner through this expression and this journey into parenting. Danny's family will soon be a family of 7 kids. Amazing.
That's a lot.
What's that?
That's a lot. When you say it.
It's a lot. It's like the Brady Bunch.
Oh, it's going to be good.
It is going to be good. You guys can have a family band.
Oh, yeah. Hockey team.
Hockey team. So as you exhale, it's the whole weight of the back body that just softens towards the bolster. Letting the shoulders open. Allows more breath through that diaphragm in towards the sides of the ribs and the intercostal muscles. Oh, Danny placed her hands on the back of my head and gave me a nice little counter movement. That feels lovely. Thank you. So just kind of taking the next few moments to do whatever sort of speaks to you with your partner, offering them a little bit of movement, a little bit of that gentle touch, that reminder that we see you, we acknowledge you, we love you. Good. So you have the choice of staying here for a moment or two longer. I don't want to get off. Otherwise, please start to bend the knees one at a time. Place the pads of the feet to the floor. You can just remove that bolster. Good. Same sort of thing. Press into the pads. Just kind of shift the sacrum forward and then let the legs fall over to the left side. Let the legs fall over to the right side. Rolling either to the left or right side when you feel ready. And then you'll just press into the palm of the hand and you can lift yourself seated. So we'll get ready for partner Shavasana. I'm going to sit up while Danny takes a rest. Now, moms, you have a few choices. Of course, it's most recommended to lay on the left side of your body in Shavasana. So if you need something underneath your head, you're going to go ahead and lay down. It's really lovely to take a pillow, as you know, and I'll just get you to back up a little bit. It's really great to take a pillow, moms, in between your knees. But here's what I want you to remember is that you want the whole leg, the whole entire aspect of your legs and feet to feel supported. You want the knees, the ankles, the hips, so you can see that everything is supported together. Okay, especially, we forget about the ankles and the feet, but if you do, then you'll create a lot of external rotation, actually pulls in the back. Now, laboring partners, if you choose, you can also come and kind of spoon your partner if you wish. We do need to take a couple minutes of rest here. It's really nice to integrate all the stretches and the movement that we just completed. So you have your choice of either laying beside or behind your partner or laying on your back. I'll just lay on the back. Good. So with the eyes closed, wherever you are, and as you start to move into Shavasana, if you have taken a supine position laying on your back, you might also want to support the backs of your knees with that cushion or bolster. So if you support the knees, it just takes a bit of tension off the back of your sacrum and pelvis, and especially off the lower part of your spine. And then with the eyes closed, please making sure here in this moment that if you need to create any subtle movements, you'll do so now. And if you're on your back, we're looking for that evenness, that balance between the left and the right side. So making some subtle adjustments. Wherever you are, having some sort of connection with your partner. So even if it's the arm or the hand that rests closer towards their spine, you'll close the eyes. Take a nice big breath in towards the chest and the heart. Big exhale out. One more such full inhalation to lift, and then nice slow exhalation out. Quieting that space between the eyebrow center, you're keeping the lips together, separate the teeth, letting the tongue slowly fall to the bottom of the mouth. Letting the breath flow in towards the front line of the body, and then that complete surrender and release down the back line. So with each and every sensation of the exhalation, we should feel the physical body begin to sink deeper and deeper into the mat. So during this journey together, you will be inundated with everyone's opinions and judgments of how you should move through your pregnancy, how you should birth your baby into this world, and also how you should parent. Please remember that this journey is together. You're creating this family together. So you only always need to tap into your inner strength of parenting, your intuition. There is no need to compare yourselves as parents. There's no need to compare your babies to other babies. We are all unique individuals. You only ever need to tap into your heart space to find that connection with your baby and trust your innate wisdom. So in this moment, letting go of all of those opinions, those judgments, those expectations from other people that do not serve you, your partner, and your baby. Keeping the eyes closed and the body still. Taking a full inhalation towards your own chest and heart. Nice big exhale to return. So start to create some movements in your body. You can wiggle into your fingers. You can wiggle into the toes. Laboring mums, you can move that bolster from underneath your knees, stretching the legs out, arm up and overhead. Laboring partners, bend your knees, bring the pads of the feet to the floor, lift very gently up through the lower back. So you just readjust the sacrum and then letting the legs again fall to that left side and over to that right side. So finding those windshield wiper movements. When you feel ready, one at a time, and laboring partners will have to either lay over to that left or right side. You can gently begin to press into the palm of the hand, and we will just turn to face towards one another. So if you just don't mind shifting to sit in front in a cross-legged position where the knees are towards one another, we'll take the palms of the hands together. So right hand to right hand, left hand over top, creating this prayer position, just in deep recognition of our partner, their spirit, the soul, but also the co-creation of the baby. Taking a nice big breath in, lifting through the chest and the heart. And then as you exhale, take that gentle bow, thanking your partner for being on this journey with you, for supporting you in this space, in this class today. Good, and then giving them a nice big hug. Thank you. Awesome. Thanks everyone for joining, and good luck with your labor and birth journey. You're going to do great. See ya.